Hey, how y'all doing? My name is fayodele, and you might remember me from my first YouTube video that I did on the educational system of America and the declining system and how these political bureaucracies and teachers union and so on and so forth was actually contributing to the failure of the educational system in America, more specifically the inner city. But I was just doing a little bit of research on the internet, and I stumbled upon an interesting fact or stat. Did you know that it's only 12% of the eighth grade students in the Washington, D.C. school system that can actually read on eighth grade level? That means that 12% of the kids in our nation's capital, only 12% of them in eighth grade, can read at eighth grade level or eighth grade standard. So my question is, what are the other 88% doing? Most likely, what? Nothing. And most likely, probably read below and far below the eighth grade standard or eighth grade level. This is a game of chess, not checkers. This educational system, this failure, this decline in the educational system in America is so pathetic that it's not even funny. It's not even a laughing matter. Finland ranks first place as far as educational level in the whole world. America, out of 30 developed countries, ranks, if I'm not mistaken, 25th place. These are just astonishing stats that just makes you think, like, wow, this is America. We're supposed to be the world superpower, but yet we can't even compete with Finland. We can't even compete with Canada. We can't even compete with China. It gives you an indication of where this country is going as far as the youth. And I continue to emphasize this, but it seems that getting my message across or getting the kind of support that I need is just it's just very hard to come across. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe I'm not saying enough things. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I need your help. Maybe I need to outsource and find other ways or other avenues of getting people's attention. But the fact of the matter is that this country, this great country of ours, is going to come to a standstill if we don't do something about this educational system in this country today. And I say that wholeheartedly. I remember many of you remember the movie. It was made, I think, maybe 20, 25 years ago, Lean on Me, with Morgan Freeman, where he brought a baseball bat to school. He shut down the school system. He put chains and locks on all the doors, and he forced the kids to stay in the class and learn and to read, and everything was okay. And he beat up some of the kids that brought knives to school. And at the end of the day, everybody praised him, and he continued to teach in the school, and everything was honky dory. But guess what? This is 2010. That doesn't work. Okay, that was an isolated situation. And I'm not saying that in any pessimistic way. I'm sure that the school system in which that occurred, that was something that happened then and it's not occurring now. Many of these kids nowadays, they bring guns to school, they bring knives, they bring all sorts of pipe bombs, and you name it, they bring it. The kids nowadays, they're so independent that if you say the wrong thing to them, they can meet you outside the parking lot. And trust me, they're not going to meet you with their fist. They're going to meet you with either a gun, most likely a bomb or something to bring some devastation. So we need to stop thinking or stop the assumption that once we have all these political or educational reforms and the Board of Education gets together and has dinner with the school teachers and the teachers union and this and that takes place and these politicians get together and all of us we sing kumbaya, everything is going to be okay. No, because at the end of the day, it's the children's interest that we have at hand. And we can sit behind any board of election or any kind of board of education as a member and try as much as possible to figure out a way to better the school system, but it starts with the kids. That's the main idea, is the kids, is getting their interest. How can we gain that interest level? You can open up all the charter schools in the world that you want. You can open up all the magnet schools in the world that you want. But if you don't have the children's interest at heart, then what value does it hold? What substance does it hold? It holds none. And this is what I've been trying as much as possible to stress through media outlets, through all the various sources that are in my disposal. And like I said previously in my last YouTube video, 5 years ago, I wrote a screenplay that addressed these same issues that these kids were going through in the inner city, specifically Washington, D.C. I'm a product of the Washington, D.C. school system, but I'm not a statistic. I grew up in D.C. and I went to school in D.C. and I saw firsthand what goes on within the school system. And trust me, believe me when I tell you, it's not pretty. But here we are today. Here we are in 2010. We have a chance. We have an opportunity to make a difference for these kids. But yet all we do is try as much as possible to ignore the situation and hoping it goes away. We sweep it under the rug. We try as much as possible to put the blame on someone else. We have projectile anger. We blame other people for the situation instead of really looking at ourselves and looking within and asking ourselves, how can we fix this problem? Instead of talking about it with the teachers union and the parents and everybody else, are like, why don't we sit the kids down when we talk to them? You know, I mean, I know it's a crazy and far-fetched idea, but if you think about it for 1 second, if you had a party, and you invited Snoop Dogg, you invited 50 Cent and all these other hip hop and stars and Hollywood people or personality and fame, you think the kids wouldn't come to school? They'd want to come to school every day if they knew that there was going to be a party in school. I'm not saying make the school system look like a club atmosphere, but at the same time, if we gain the interest level of these kids, if we do something, if we have some kind of revolutionary movement to change how the conventional way to the unconventional way to the unorthodox way, maybe we can make a difference, because obviously the conventional way isn't working. The orthodox way isn't working. So why don't we change things around a little bit? And we start with the interest of the children. We ask them what they like. We ask them what they want to do. And we start from there. I remember growing up in school, I remember my third grade teacher, her name was Miss Wendy Minton. I'll never forget her. She was a white lady. She came to our DC school system, which majority of us obviously were black, and she made a difference. You know, I was in third grade, and from kindergarten, as many of you can remember, the way they used to try to get us to learn was they'll use little shapes, they'll use animals, they'll use all these different interactive ways to try to make us learn, and it worked. But after we leave kindergarten and we enter first grade, it's almost like we become an adult. We no longer have the little toys and all these little things or all these little different interactive games or so to keep us focused and to get our attention, to keep our interest level up. They change everything around. It's almost as if, hey, you know what? This is the real world. You're out of kindergarten now. You have to learn this and you have to learn that. If you don't learn it, you're going to fail and you're not going to become anything in life. But this teacher, this third grade teacher of mine, Miss Wendy Minton, God bless her, I will never forget. She never, ever for 1 minute changed up her teaching style. The same way that we learned in kindergarten and pre-K is the same method that she used to teach us. She taught us with animals. She taught us with different shapes. She told us stories. She told us anything to just capture and gain our interest. And many of the other teachers didn't like her. They despised her because guess what? The kids loved her. And kids back then, it was hard for them to love a teacher or even like a teacher. And many of the other kids from other classes used to come to our class and try as much as possible to look what she was doing and participate in any activity that was going on. And the other teachers used to dislike that and try as much as possible to condemn her and to report her and try as much as possible to push her away out of the school system because they were jealous that these kids actually embraced this teacher that was quote unquote white. Not that they had anything to do with it, but I'm sure it made a big impact on them as well. Having this white teacher come into the school and try to teach our black kids and all the kids like her and who does she think she is. And she taught in the school for 1 year and she left because of the demeanor that the other teachers showed towards her, because of their attitude, because of their dislike and other issues, personal issues that they had with her. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. We need to get these children interest level up, and we're not going to do that by forcing them to learn, by putting some kind of reform in education. Kids don't care about that stuff. What do they know about educational reform? They're like, huh? Oh yeah, educational reform, your senator and your governors, they're going to make a difference because they're going to reform education, and you know, this thing is going to happen, this thing is going to happen, and so philanthropist donated $100 million to the school system, so that's going to make the school system a whole lot better. No, it's not. You could donate all the money, you can open up all the magnet schools, you can open up all the charter schools, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have the same problem. The interest level of the kids. That is the number one goal. That is my goal. And I believe that there's no other avenue, there's no other way that I can get this message across less through my screenplay. I wrote this screenplay 5 years ago. It addresses the same issue that we're having with the inner city school children. Now, I give all respect and all accolades to Jeffrey Canada and David Guggenheim, who made Waiting for Superman. But if you look at the movie, those of you who are privy to look at the movie or watch the movie, in the movie it showed most of the kids were between probably the age of 7 and 12 years old, and the parents were involved with the children's upbringing, and the children were also interested in school. So you have the parents that are interested in the children and their well-being and their future, and then you have the children themselves that are interested in learning. But the reality is, majority of inner city school children are not like that. They don't care about going to school. They don't have any interest in learning. They don't want a better future for themselves. All they're concerned about is, yo, Wheezy, he got who got a new CD out, who got new clothes, new shoes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, they concerned about cars. They're concerned about basketball. They're concerned about football. They have so many other interests besides what we think they're supposed to have interest in, which is school, education, growing up and being a better person and getting a good job. So we have to tune in or whatever, because our radio station obviously is on the far left and theirs is on the far right. So we have to somehow come together and meet and understand that these kids nowadays, they need more attention than ever. You can't just force them like we used to do 50, 60 years ago, that go to school, get a good education, and the world is yours. They don't believe in that anymore. They don't believe that Superman is coming. They never believed in him in the first place. They have this harsh reality, and no matter how you want to try as much as possible to say that there's a better way or another option besides the option or the choice that I'm giving them, it's not going to work. It's just not. And I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but this is the only idea that I can think of off the top of my head, and from based on my conversations with a lot of other people that are that grew up in the inner city and that know exactly the struggle that I'm going through and trying as much as possible to put out there. It's not. This is the only way. And I believe that with the right connection, with the right people around me or whatever, we can get this message across. Waiting for Superman was a very, very good movie. It was excellent. It showed, gave us an educational awareness. It showed a lot of different things that a lot of movies lack. But I also believe it didn't give the real gritty picture of the inner city youth. It gave statistics on what the educational system was like in all sorts of other states compared to the educational system or educational level of our foreign counterparts. But it didn't talk about the inner city and how many of the inner city children have to go home to a house full of crack. Maybe crackheads are in their house. Maybe their father, their daddy is a drug dealer. Maybe they got a 15, 16-year-old pregnant girlfriend at home that they got to take care of. Maybe they have all sorts of domestic, environmental, and just so many issues that they have going on that you cannot just sit them down and say, hey, you got to go to school, and if you don't, you're going to be a failure in life, and that's it, and you don't have any choice in this, and this is the way it's going to be. We can't look at it that way. We have to open up our minds. We have to open up our hearts. We have to understand and have patience for these kids and do the right thing. And by doing the right thing is gaining their attention, gaining their trust. And the only way to do this, I believe, is to open up your mind to options as far as the educational level and where they can go with this. And I believe my screenplay, Inner City High, can do this. And I believe that there are people out there that believe in the same thing I believe. So if you're on the same boat with me, if you believe in these children, if you want to help them in their future endeavors and their future dreams and aspirations, let me know. Contact me. Let's join hands together. Let's fight the cause. Let's fight the power. Let's get together and do something.